Hello, my name is Susan. I am the dressmaker behind SJC Skatewear. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Um, 5 years ago, I started sewing for my skating daughter. She was 12 at the time, and I made her a dress. And in fact, it was from this pattern, and I chose it because it doesn't have any sleeves, and I thought that this would be a good first project to dive into, because although I've been sewing for over 40 years now, 5 years ago this was the very first leotard type garment that I'd ever made. And with all skating clothes, it has what we call negative ease. Your clothes are actually smaller than your body. And I found with this pattern, a big pitfall was that the fabric wanted to shrink back down to its um, relaxed, or its unstretched shape, which meant the bodice was dragging down, and I had to discard the first bodice and I had to cut a new one, only much longer. So that was quite a big pitfall for this pattern. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this pattern again, and then we can compare the original very first skating dress I ever made with this one, because I have learnt so much over the last 5 years, and I can share with you where where things went right, where things went wrong, um, where where there was a learning curve, let's put it that way. So yeah, but I mean, if you're making a dress for your daughter for the first time, give it a go. Um, there's nothing quite like, the pride when your skater gets a compliment on their dress and then they go, oh, and my mum made this, and it's a lovely, lovely feeling. So give it a go. What I would say is, don't sell your dresses commercially until you've learned how to do it, okay? Because I've seen some really quite ugly dresses out there on Facebook for sale, and let's not go there. So what can I tell you so far? So I got the pattern out, as I said, untouched for the first time in 5 years. And I'm just going to take the iPad. Right, so, whoops, sorry about that. I think we went a bit black then. So, I am, right, with Kwik Sew, not all of the measurements are on the back. They give you most, but they don't give you an overall body length. Instead, what they do is they ask you to measure from the nape of the neck down to the natural waist, and then the crotch length, which is centre front waist through the legs back up to centre back waist. And on this particular dress, say she was 12, and she was a lot taller than what they suggested. She was actually the size of a 14-year-old. So what they tell you to do is take your skater's measurement and calculate the difference between your skater's measurement and the pattern, and then you divide it by 2, because obviously you have a front and a back, which meant I added 3/4 of an inch to the front and back of the knickers on this dress, and that might have been why I had so many fit troubles, because they were way too big, and that was a lot of altering, I remember. So what was supposedly a straightforward pattern, I had two main issues. I had to recut the bodice because it was too short, and I had to size down the knickers because they were too big. So what I will be doing, and I've gone through, I'm afraid I have a lot of fabric. but I've gone through looking really for a small amount of scrap that I know I won't be using for a major project again, just so I can demonstrate how to do the various processes for you. So before I go off and start altering the pattern, I'll take the tissue paper pattern out just to show you, because there are some markings that you need to know. Okay. So this line here tells you a crosswise grain. Now, don't fall into the mistake of thinking that spandex lycra is stretchy in all directions and therefore you don't need to worry about the grain. You do. If your grain line is off, your pattern will start to pull out in weird directions. The other thing you need to look out for is where patterns say place on a fold. This would be a skirt. I mean, you can certain fabrics you might want to make a mirror image of your skirt pattern, so you cut it on the single layer. Let's not go down that rabbit hole just yet. We have some dots which you'd need if you were doing a side slit. You need to transfer those, and also notches. So I'm trying to see a good example to show you what I mean by a notch. Wherever you see a single notch, and these like weird little triangle things, that means it's the front. If you see a double notch, that means it's the back. And this is really important when you come to putting in sleeves at a later date. You need to know the front and back of your sleeve. Not such an issue here, but the skirt patterns are different. So this is what we would have as a double notch. Yeah, so that's the very basics. So this is the first video I've done. I'm sorry it's not very slick. I don't have any editing equipment. I will be posting more videos, so you can see my progress, and I'll break the dress down into various sections. If there's any specific questions you'd like to know the answer, please comment. We'll see you in a few days' time, I hope, for the next stage. Thank you. Bye-bye now.